congregations into joining NARCAP and getting involved in this. We want to take the prison system down. We want our brothers and sisters to come back to our communities as rehabilitated, law-abiding citizens.
And with that, okay, we're going to take a little bit of break, okay, and we're going to continue this discussion. I want to thank you. Some people may have to leave, others I hope stay with us as we further continue this discussion on NARCAP and the National Religious Campaign Against Torture. And bless you for staying with us. Well, we're back, and here's what I would like to do. I want my audience to stay tuned. I want to show you a video, a horror show, and it's a little hard. You got any children and stuff like that, I'd ask them to leave the room. They don't need to see it. But Mom and Dad and you folks, I want you to watch this video.
Yeah, but before you start the video, all right, I want to prime your audience as to what to look for when you watch this video, because if you're not primed to this, you could miss it. All right?
Right.
And it's a tough thing to watch. One, this individual is mentally ill. All right?
Exactly.
Should never ever have been strapped down to a bed or been in isolation. You could do nothing but exacerbate this individual's mental problem, and you see that happening.
Right.
All right? The other thing that you see happen is they don't intend to kill this kid, though it is negligible homicide. Right?
Yeah,
the red flags were obvious.
Yeah.
He stopped drinking water. He stopped eating food.
And you're going to see.
Yeah, you're going to see this.
You're going to see this on this.
They put this kid in straps 17 hours at a pop,
Yeah.
which is outrageous timing, right? And they're trained. This guy got the left leg, this guy got the right leg, this guy got the left arm, this guy got the right arm, you got the torso, you got the head, and they rush in, take him out, blah, 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 and put him on the bed. This rote learning stuff, right? He stopped eating, stopped drinking water. That should have been the red light to get psych services, to see this kid, get the medical staff. And they didn't see that, all right? And you're going to see this, and this is tough. You're going to see a human being fall on the floor and die.
Yeah, this is.
Right? And this is
he's going to die.
Mentally ill kid.
He's going to die in front of you.
Right.
And that's just,
And what you want to watch is the Commissioner of Corrections is going to speak and try to rationalize this.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
This is
and
scary.
It's this, yes. When you deal with human beings as cattle, all right, this is what happens. You lose your compassion, you lose your humanity, and people die.
Exactly.
And this is what I want you to really focus on. Watch closely what you're seeing, all right? Though they don't intend to kill this kid, it is negligible homicide. You're supposed to be a professional, and you should have seen the red flag. I mean, for God's sakes, he stopped eating, he stopped drinking water. The consequences of that is death.
Right.
And you didn't see
And you
it.
missed it.
You know, how could you not see that?
So we're going to go to it.
You wouldn't imagine these days that a mental patient could be chained to a concrete slab by prison guards until he died of thirst. But that's how Timothy Souders died, and he's not alone. As we first told you in February, Souders suffered from manic depression, and like a lot of mental patients in this country, he got into trouble and ended up not in a hospital, but in jail. It was a shoplifting case, and he paid with his life. No one would have been the wiser, but a medical investigator working for a federal judge caught wind of Souders' death and discovered that his torturous end was recorded on videotape. We'll warn you, these tapes are hard to watch. They open a horrifying window on mental illness behind bars. This is a prison in America, and that's Tim Souders, dying of dehydration. 6 months ago, he was in solitary at the Southern Michigan Correctional Center. He was 21, serving 3 to 5 years. Though an investigation would show that he needed urgent psychiatric care, Souders was chained down, hands, feet, and waist, up to 17 hours at a time. By prison rules, all of this was recorded on a 24-hour surveillance camera and by the guards themselves. The tape records a rapid descent. He started apparently healthy, but in 4 days, Souders could barely walk. In the shower, he fell over. The guards brought him back in a wheelchair, but then chained him down again. On August 6th, he was released from restraints and fell for the last time. Tim Souders died right there. Only the surveillance camera took notice. His short life began in Adrian, Michigan. Souders was a kid whose troubles didn't start until late in his teenage years.
Hi, Grandma. Happy Easter.
It was then his mother, Teresa Vaughn, told us that he began acting strangely.
It was January in the wintertime, and he was running around outside with his clothes off thinking he was a knight fighting dragons. You lose touch with reality.
He was troubled by anxiety and depression, often in and out of the hospital. After one hospital stay, he was caught shoplifting 2 paintball guns. He grabbed a pocket knife and threatened the store employees, then begged a cop to shoot him. Instead, he was stunned with a taser. No one was hurt.
He had gotten to the point where his thinking wasn't straight and he was suicidal. And he should have never went to jail.
In jail, Souders tried to kill himself 3 times. He pled to resisting arrest and assault for waving the pocket knife and ended up in a Jackson County prison complex with 5,000 inmates. It's a troubled place. Prisoners filed suit here in the 1980s, and since then, their welfare has been monitored by a federal judge. When Souders arrived, he was part of a national trend. There are 300,000 mental patients behind bars nationwide. That's because starting in the 1960s, mental hospitals have been closing, and as patients ended up in jail, prisons became the new asylums.
They became de facto mental hospitals, and the prisons were ill-equipped to handle it.
To understand Souders' case, we went to an insider. Robert Walsh is a clinical psychologist, 25 years in Michigan prisons. He was a deputy warden and director of psychological services in the prison where Souders died. He retired 6 years before Souders arrived.
Given what you see in the Souders videotape, what should have been happening?
What should have been happening was, right away, mental health staff should have been consulted and reported to the scene, given that he wasn't assaultive against anybody.
But there was no mental health staff to consult. The psychiatrist was on a 7-week leave.
Then he should have been replaced. It's too critical a situation.
This situation started when Souders took a shower without permission. That landed him in solitary. When he broke a stool and used his sink to flood his cell, that's when the chains came out.
Is that too tight?
What the prison calls top-of-bed restraints. Psychologist Robert Walsh did an extensive study of Michigan prisons, and he found in a number of cases the staff insists inmates are not mentally ill despite profound insanity.
One man enucleated his eyes, cut them out, because he felt they were offending God. These were men that were claimed to be manipulative, malingerers, and non-mentally ill.
Wait a minute. Did I just understand you to say that the Department of Corrections declared those men not mentally ill?
The staff did. That's correct. The psychiatric and psychological staff
How can-
considered them to be malingerers and manipulators that went to extremes.
After his arrest, a state psychologist said Souders was trying to manipulate the staff when he stabbed himself 7 times in the stomach in a suicide attempt. Months later, in solitary, there was no psychiatric intervention even when Souders was raving.
Orange, blue, red, yellow, green. I'm ready to go home.
A social worker wanted him transferred to a hospital, but the paperwork never got done. The guards resorted again to chains that the federal judge overseeing the prison criticized as punitive restraints. Patricia Caruso is the director of Michigan's prison system.
What are